witness tampering. So first, witness tampering is not about whether someone is guilty of the underlying crime. It's about whether someone attempted to interfere with a witness. So, in plain English, basically the state is alleging that the defendant pressured a witness, influenced a witness, encouraged a witness not to testify, or attempted to change what a witness would say had they been put on to testify. So now here's what people miss. Witness tampering can happen directly or it can happen indirectly. So directly means the defendant contacts the witness themselves. Indirectly means that the defendant uses a third party, which is like a middleman, to do it, more or less. So even if a person never picks up the phone and calls the witness personally, the prosecution can still argue that you caused this interference, or that caused part and becomes key fight in court, basically. And that's why these trials are so detail heavy, because it comes down to intent, timing, and communication. Now, let's talk about what happens before trial begins. So the initial witness tampering stage, this is the part the public doesn't always see unless you're following hearings very, very closely. Because the truth is, a lot of the trial is decided before opening statements. So that's what's most important. So one of the biggest legal battles in this witness tampering case is going to be how much the jury is allowed to hear about the double homicide case. So the state will argue, basically, we have to explain why the witness mattered, more or less, and the defense basically would argue something like, if the jury hears murder details, they'll assume guilt, and that's unfair. So this is where judges start weighing two competing things. They're going to weigh in relevance versus unfair prejudice. And that matters because witness tampering trials can turn into something that feels like a mini murder or homicide trial. So if the court doesn't limit the background details, it will cause a lot of confusion and issues. So it just kind of makes things go structured. So the court will likely decide, can the prosecution say double homicide case? Can the prosecution describe the crime scene? Can the prosecution talk about evidence from that homicide case? Or is the jury only hearing the minimum context necessary? So, number two, what communications will be admitted? That's something that's going to be addressed. So, what they will do is, this is where we get into evidence. So because the witness tampering case typically relies heavily on jail calls, call logs, messages, third-party communication, trails, that kind of thing, the court is going to look at that. Was it recorded legally? Can it be authenticated? Is the voice identifiable? Are the records complete? Is it more prejudicial than probative? So this is also where defense attorneys are going to attack the evidence on technical grounds. So even though I'm not an attorney, I have kind of, I've done this quite